Today we are going to cover manual beat matching, and I'm so excited about this lesson. I get requests on this quite a lot where people want to try this, want to learn this, and even the fact that we're not on vinyl, that part you can still learn to manually beat match on a controller. And I'm excited to be able to show this to you because this is actually how I started, and still to this day I manually beat match, even on a controller. I will use sync in some of our demos and things like that that you've seen me do, and occasionally in performance I might hit sync a couple of times. But most of what I'm doing as a DJ, I like the challenge of manual beat matching. I like having the control. It's so interesting because my father drives a manual stick shift car, still to this day drives a manual stick shift car. And it's not because he doesn't want to pay for the automatic car or doesn't know how to drive automatic or is stuck in a time space continuum or whatever, right? Like, he is just enjoys being in control of the car, and he tells me that there's less distractions and he feels more present and more in the moment when he's driving, and he gets more out of it. Now for me, I like driving stick every now and then, but I don't drive a manual car on a regular basis. I mean, we live here in LA and we're in traffic so much. I mean, like, my calves would be huge, which might be actually, maybe I should start driving. I'm just kidding. That would be pretty wild. All right, so, but the whole point that I'm making here is there are ways to use manual beat matching and things that you'll learn by manually beat matching that can still be applied to a digital setup, a digital configuration. So you don't think about, oh, well, if I am a manual beat matching DJ, then I need to be on vinyl turntables. Or because I'm on a controller, then I'll just always use sync and don't need to learn how to manually beat match. In fact, learning to manually beat match will help you even if you are using sync. And I want to get into this today. I'm very excited about this because I have taught so many people over the years how to manually beat match. And most of the time I've done that physically with somebody in the space where we're sharing a headphone and I'm able to really help correct what is going on physically. And today we're going to do a similar lesson, but we're going to be virtual, obviously. And it's crazy because I'm excited that you can learn this even with this technology, even though we're not in the same room together. And I've got some steps that you must follow in order to reduce the frustration here. This is very important. I've got to teach you some of these things, these concepts, so that you're not just chasing your tail. When we're manually beat matching, it is very deliberate, it is very specific and strategic as to what steps we are taking first and what steps we are taking next. It's really, really important that you understand this and that you follow along to this process, because like I said, I've taught so many people how to actually do this, and the same things that I'm doing live with people in person are these same steps that I'm going to teach you how to do, except I can't be in your living room with you right now. So I need to trust that you are going to follow this process. And if you don't follow the process step by step, you are going to get frustrated and you're going to give up. And I don't want that. And I don't think you want that, which is why you're here trying to learn this right now. So I need your commitment to this. Do I have it? Are you committed to follow this step by step, trust in this process? Okay, let's do it. Let's jump into this lesson. I'm gonna go to my whiteboard. I'm gonna break this down first. Let's say that these two are perfectly synced up, meaning that the beats were synced, so they're now the same tempo. But you'll notice that, well, the green one is just a little bit off, right? The red one hits first, which means that the green one is a little bit slower. So I need to nudge this ahead and just push it forward. Now, this isn't an issue where I need to use the tempo slider because the BPM is correct. So if I start touching the tempo slider, that's going to change the BPM. And we don't want to change the BPM. The tempo is correct right now. And in fact, actually, if we have them on sync, me moving the tempo slider is going to move both of them at the same time, and it's not going to fix our issue. The issue here was that my timing was a little bit off when I brought this in. So there's two ways to solve this. One way, which you've seen me do already in demonstrations, is to hit sync again. If I hit sync again, it'll snap into the closest beat based on the grid, and it will lock them back in if I hit sync again. The other way to do this is to do this by ear and to be able to push the song forward or pull it back a little bit, the one that's off. This is the beginning part of manual beat matching. So in doing that, I'll show you how the platter is different, but let me show you first on the actual whiteboard what's going to happen. I'm then going to move this back by nudging it so that it gets everything to line up, right? Or I can move it forward too much, bring it into place, right? That's what we're trying to do, but yet we're not going to do it with a pen and on a whiteboard. We're going to do it with our hand and on the platter. You'll notice that it didn't stretch or compress the waveform. It kept the same distance, meaning it kept the same grid. We're just moving it, nudging it forward or back. Okay, before we jump in and we bring out the controller and start mixing songs together, I want to go through some tips for you. So the first one is you need a set of headphones. It's incredibly difficult to manually beat match without a set of headphones. If you don't have a set of headphones, I highly encourage using earbuds. You know, they could be the small little like earbuds that you can plug in. That's fine. Over-the-ear headphones are great. What you probably don't want is you don't want noise canceling headphones. So these are just a simple pair of Pioneer headphones. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one ear in and one ear out. I wanna be able to hear the ambient. So I would plug this into the controller or the mixer, and what I'm listening for are the beats lined up? And I'm doing this while song A is playing, and I'm queuing up song B to try to match song B to what is happening with song A. So I want to have one ear in and one ear out. It's very important. Now, other real quick things about headphones. I use these. These are in-ear monitors. So they're custom fit for my ears. They're pretty expensive, but worth the investment, honestly. It's been great. I wear hats all the time, so over-the-ear headphones sometimes get in the way, and these are great. I can keep these in for hours. So whatever you're using, use headphones. If you don't, you're hearing the beats off when the audience is hearing it fall off. So you've completely lost your advantage as a DJ. So headphones are essential for learning how to manually beat match. Okay, some other things. Number two, we want to make sure that we're moving to it. We're going to use our body. So if you're sitting in a chair, stand up. I want you to be up. I want you to be moving. Your body's going to lock in the song that is playing, and we're going to line up with our ear to what's playing. In fact, I'm going to give you, this is like the secret sauce right here. I'm going to give it to you completely straight, and you're not going to have nearly as much frustration as I had when I was trying to learn how to do this. I felt like I was chasing my tail after learning all of these tips. So we want to make sure that we're up. We're moving to this. Our body is moving to which one? The one in my ear or the one that's playing out of the speaker? The one that's playing out of the speaker, right? That's what everybody is moving to. And I used to teach that you are listening to two things at once, and that's not true. You kind of are listening to two things at once. You're listening to what the song is that's coming in, and you're matching up what you're hearing with what your body is moving to. Okay, and now you might be wondering, well, what are we actually listening to? Is there something that we're actually listening to? And yes, I'm gonna break this down in just a moment. So I'm gonna go to the whiteboard in just a minute. But before I do, I will say this as well. On the headphones, this is my third tip. We are only listening to the cue. So on the mixer, you'll have the ability to listen to both at the same time. You'll have the ability to listen to the master at the same time as the cue. What I have found through experience, both myself firsthand and also secondhand teaching all of these people how to manually beat match, it made it so much faster and easier if you just listen only in your cue ear to what you're queuing up, and only that. Okay, so that's my third tip. So now what I want to do is I want to go back to the whiteboard and I want to break down a beat, because this is actually a huge secret that I wasn't even aware of until probably till I started teaching. So there are two primary drum sounds, kick drum and a snare drum. So here I've broken down a This is 1 bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The kick usually happens on the 1 and the 3. And the kick drum is that big bass drum, right? Kick drum. And in fact, the snare drum usually would happen on the 2 and the 4. So a simple beat would be like kick, snare, right? That's like a simple beat pattern. Now, are you listening for the kick or the snare? You're going to listen to one to be able to line them up. Do you think I would advise the kick or the snare? I always thought kick. If you said snare, you're smarter than me. But I always said kick. I always thought that it was the kick. But it is far easier to listen to the snare and pull out the snare. So the snare happens on the 2 and the 4, usually. It's a snare, sometimes it's a clap. And the kick happens on the 1 and the 3. Now, with some electronic music, you have a kick on every beat, right? So kick, kick, kick. They often call this four on the floor, right? There's a kick drum on every beat. But the 2 and the 4 are claps or a snare. It's a higher frequency, so it's easier to pick out. It's a sharper sound, so it's easier to line up. And it happens on the 2 and the 4. So that's what we're going to listen for. And we're going to try to line up the snare of what I hear in my ear based on the snare of where this is hitting on the track that's playing. So we're focused on the snare. I'm going to circle it. There we go. That's what we're listening for. So we're trying to line up those snares. Now, real quick, before we bring out the controller and we try to mix these songs together, I want to just show you, naturally, our body knows where this is. In fact, actually, if there was a song playing and I was clapping, I would clap on the 2 and the 4 because we're imitating that snare or that clap sound. It's just crazy. Like, we naturally do this. If we were to stomp our feet, we would stomp on the 1 and the 3. So if we were just to make a beat with our body, it would be kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, right? And we're listening for that clap. And that's what we're trying to line up. So, you know, sometimes, going back to the headphones real quick, sometimes people are like, oh, I need to have headphones with a lot of bass. Like, DJs need headphones with a lot of bass. Untrue. I'm not actually so concerned with the bass. As a listener, I like to have a little bit of extra bass when I'm listening to music, just in a set of headphones. But as a DJ, I want the flattest reference possible. Like, I want to be able to hear just that clap and that snare. I want to be able to pick it out super easy. So I don't want this like bass boost to be booming in my ear. It's the same reason why when people mix records, they don't want this like extra low end there. I want to mix it flat so that I understand, like, you know, what the sound truly is, and I'm able to pick out these different frequencies and not have something so much overpowering with what's happening in your headphones. Let's pull out the controller. Let's put this together, and I'm going to mix 2 songs together manually. Okay, I've got the controller ready to go. I've got Stranger on my left side. I've got a.k.a. on my left side. I've got Stranger on my right side. 103, 104. I'm going to match them together without changing or without hitting sync, and actually technically without moving the fader. I'm going to do this all by hand using our minor adjustments. You can tell, like, there's a lot that's going on here. Okay, I've also got my headphone in. It may not look like I'm wearing headphones because I've got my in-ear monitor in, which, by the way, I highly recommend these if you're interested in headphones that are completely customized and you're willing to invest a decent amount of money into headphones. The in-ear monitors are great. Some of you, I get people that ask me about it all the time, but some of you, you don't want the over-the-ear headphones, which, by the way, there are other solutions as well, not necessarily custom-made ones, but there's other solutions as well. In fact, Pioneer actually makes a set of in-ear headphones that's pretty good. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm going to manually beat match. You're going to watch me speed up and slow down. You're not going to hear the track because I'm going to keep that in my ear. So let me show you the cue real fast. So if I click on this, I'm hearing this side. If I click on this, I'm hearing this side. So the way I'm going to be set up is I'm only going to be clicked on 2. I only want to hear Stranger in my ear. Here's my headphone area. I'm also moving this Q and master. I'm moving this to Q so that I'm not hearing any of the master. The master I'm hearing out of the speaker in this ear. And actually, I'm listening not just with my ears, but with my body, right? So I'm internalizing the tempo of Imagino that is playing as it's playing off the speaker. So I don't need to hear that in my ear. And then make sure that your level is not too loud. So make sure your volume on your headphone is not too loud. You kind of want to try to get them to be as low as you can in order for it to be detectable, in order for you to hear that kick or snare. Snare, right? We're listening for the snare. We're lining up the snare. We're lining up so that snare hits same time. All right, here we go. Ready? Let's do it. You're not going to hear mine. Only me. Here we go. All of that I'm doing. And then I want to jump back to the beginning, right? Because I'm only mixing the first 8 bars with the drop. This is also really important, that it comes in on time, right? To give me a good point of reference. So they need to come in on the 1. This is why that rhythm and timing exercise is so important. We did it in the 7 to 8. We also did some scratching. Here we go. Right, so you saw that I'm moving quite a lot. Like my body did not stop moving the entire time, which by the way, this is also another benefit of learning to manually beat match. You are forced to use your body when you're manually beat matching in order to do it well. So by doing that, I'm already generating energy. Like as I'm moving, I'm generating energy. For the audience that I'm playing for, you're feeding off of this energy. You're dancing to the same tempo as what it is that I'm putting out there, and I'm dancing to it too. This is creating a connection with the audience. It would be incredibly boring, and I've seen this, and some of you have seen this too. A DJ just standing here. Or even worse, I don't even have my phone on me, but imagine like this DJ's just like, what? How is this inspiring you to keep dancing or to like have the time of your life right now? It's not. So manually beat matching does inherently force that because I've got to be moving to it in order to be able to effectively line it up. If I were to just do this sitting down, it would be very, very difficult. So I also want to make sure that when you're trying these exercises, when you're trying to mix this together, you are not sitting down, you're standing up, you're in comfortable shoes, or maybe you're barefoot. Sometimes I like doing this barefoot. And then you're so focused, you're in the moment, you're not answering texts back, you're not being pinged with notifications, you are focused on DJing. Just the same way as my father likes driving stick shift in the car. He's not calling me in the car. In fact, if I call him and he doesn't answer, and it's like during the time of his commute, like I have an idea that like, oh, he's probably driving, right? He's not eating while he's driving. He can't be. He's got to be shifting, right? Like hand on the wheel and shifting. He's like focused and present. Same thing here, right? And I would actually argue that I think my father's a better driver because of it, because he's not distracted by all sorts of things. And I would rather be on the road with people that are not distracted versus like texting, eating, doing your makeup, doing all that stuff. I'm not knocking you for it. It's not safe. Don't do that. But, same thing with DJing, right? Like your audience is going to be better off with you being focused on DJing, not focused on other things. All right. Now we have something fun, because these guys have challenged me to do this. I said it, and now I'm gonna have to live up to it. So we're talking about doing this blindfolded, because obviously, like I could just change this, right? Like I could change the tempo to make this 103, right? If I wanted to. Because really what we're doing is, in the process of doing this, I'm not just gonna only manually beat match by using just the minor adjustment. What I'm really gonna do is, as I'm making these minor adjustments, I'm then going to adjust the major adjustment based on what I heard, right? So for instance, let me walk you through it. So here we go, and drop. Okay, up, wait, the snare is hitting, so maybe I'm hearing snare, 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 snare. So this snare is hitting first, this one's hitting after, which means that this track is slower because the snare is hitting after. So then I'm having to speed up. So maybe I speed up a little bit, okay? And then now, there it is. The snares have lined up. Okay, awesome. Now I take my hand off because maybe that fixed it. But now it starts to fall off again, and I'm still hearing snare, 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 snare. Okay, well that then means that this track needs to be sped up. This is a major adjustment thing. So instead of me just making a temporary minor adjustment, now I've got to make a major adjustment. So I would do that to the tempo slider. How much do I move the tempo slider? Well, that's going to depend on how much I had to speed up or slow down by using a minor adjustment. But again, remember, we're only focused on the one that we're bringing in. So the answer isn't like anything having to do with this song. This song is just going to stay where it's at. Everything that I'm changing is going to be on the song that I'm bringing in this case, Stranger, right? So this is kind of like a guess of, you're trying to find the right number. And in this case, we know that this is 103, it's set to the grid, the right number is 103, and right now I'm at 104. But assuming we weren't able to see that or didn't necessarily know that and we're just using our ears, we could still do this because that's how we were doing this with vinyl records. Like we couldn't see a number display and be like, 104. By the way, that's not manually beat matching. Like just matching the number that way, right? Like true manual beat matching would be as if you didn't even know the number and you're trying to guess the number. So if you really want to challenge yourself, I suggest doing this next exercise, which I'm going to show you. And these guys they're going to make me do this blindfolded. We're going to get a blindfold here. We're going to make this happen. But I will say this, in terms of the higher or lower game, let me explain this real fast. I'm trying to find the number. So Coach Verse is in the studio with me right now. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100.
50.
He said 50. Lower.
25.
25. I say lower.
15.
15. I say higher.
21.
21. I say lower. All of this data he's gathering in his mind, and that's informing what he's guessing. He's not guessing 80, right? Because I just said lower. So he's getting it narrower. All right, so now what? Give me another guess.
18.
18 is it. Dead on. That was what, five tries?
Yep.
The last time we did this, it also took us 5 tries, right? So it's interesting because as you do this and you only make one guess of the number, like that's not going to probably be it. You're probably going to have to make multiple guesses. And what I'm saying with the multiple guesses is I'm going to drop this in and drop on the 1. Okay, I need to slow down a little bit. All right, I slow down, I take my hand off. Up, I need to slow down a little bit more. Okay, so now I need to slow down the pitch or the tempo slider. Okay, now get back to the very beginning by either hitting the hot cue or rewinding it back and try another drop and drop it in. That's my second guess. Drop it in. Okay, I need to slow down. Slow down, slow down. Hand off. Nope, slow down a little bit more. Okay, so now I need to slow it down a little bit more. Okay, great. Now, third guess, and get back to the beginning and drop this in on the 1. All right, now I need to speed up a little bit, just a little bit. Speed it up a little bit, almost there, a little bit more. Okay, move the pitch just a little bit. Okay, back to the beginning. Do this again. This is what I'm doing. Sometimes people are like, what are you doing? Like, I don't even hear music coming out right, or I hear this one song coming out, but all this that you're doing, what are you doing? I'm trying to manually beat match. I'm trying to get these things to line up. And at the same time, I'm having a ton of fun doing it because it's like a puzzle to me. It's like solving a problem right now. Like I am working on this problem. It's keeping me busy during the time that this song is just playing. And it's keeping me in it and keeping me present and keeping me focused on what we're doing here, what the party is, and me with the party. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. Let me go get a blindfold. I'll be right back and we're gonna make this happen. All right, so I don't have a actual blindfold here, but I do have a mask or like a gaiter, which you can kind of see through a little bit, but you can only really see the shapes of things, but I'm gonna use that. I think that'll be good enough. Hold on. All right. I can see like the lights I just can't see. I definitely can't see the numbers on anything. I can see like the outlines of the shapes, but that's about it. Okay. All right. So this is 103. This is E Mahino, right? And this one is Stranger at 104. Okay, here we go. Ready? Let me see if I... Okay, here we go. This is my second guess now. I'm probably now at like 4 guesses. I mean, it's close enough for me to try to mix them. I think I'm still pretty far though. Here we go. All right, not bad. Where was I at? Yeah, okay. 103.2 and 103.0. There we go. Not bad. And what I wanted you to see is like you don't have to be dead on in order to get these to mix for 8 bars. You need to be dead on for 8 bars or whatever that time frame is that they're going to blend together live. But it doesn't need to be that these are exactly 103.572 or whatever and 103.572. It doesn't need to be that. In fact, actually some of the imperfection is it makes it feel more lively in some ways. Like not where the beats are all over the place, don't get me wrong. Like they do need to sound like one beat. But this idea of like playing it, I don't know, there's like just this energy that comes with it. So I encourage you to try this. You could try it with the blindfold on if you want, or you can just be honest with yourself and not pay attention to the numbers. It's tough though, especially with this controller. With this controller, the number is so big in front of your face right here. Right? It'd be tough. You could put something over it, I guess. Put like a little, well, no, because then when you move the platter, that would, yeah, when you move the platter, that wouldn't work. Well, you could put something over the full dial, maybe. Either way, some of you don't even have that issue. You have other controllers that don't have the dial there. So in that case, just don't be looking at the screen. And don't feel the need to hit sync. You can do this. It's such an amazing feeling to be able to mix the songs together that you did that. Like you controlled that. Not a machine, not a computer, not sync. Like that wasn't what synced the songs up. You actually did it. And trust me, because it's a challenge, it'll feel that much better that you can do it. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some practice, but we already know, right? It's not about being perfect. It's about that progress. Like that progress is what is more important than anything else. We want to be 1% better today than we were yesterday. So get out there and do your 1% better. I'll see you next time. Take this as the weekly challenge, and maybe not just this week. This might be a multi-week challenge. Don't think that this is just going to happen quickly. This is going to take some time, but follow the steps, and I'll see you on the other side. I'll see you on the next one.